Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about feed again. Free range versus grain. And I think it's something everybody needs to know, but you never know it until after you work with it a little bit. These are the bins that we use for our retail feed. When I can get people's old food storage, like wheat, rye, barley, for less than $5 a bucket, which is about 50 pounds, then it doesn't look like this. But when I have retail feed, I need to keep it super, super organized so that it's not wasted because it's so expensive. This is food storage feed. Now, I soak this, I cook it, I'm really careful that I make it as easy for them to digest as possible because it's not mixed and it's not milled. Usually, if I go to a farmer for bagged feed, it's about $5 per 50 pounds, and it's chaff, which means that it's the leftovers that come off of the grain that are imperfect and they have a lot of dust in them. Now, this is the system I want to talk to you about. If you're going to free range and you're going to 100% free range and give them no grain, they need a huge amount of space. This space, we've got, I think, 10 ducks in here right now and 3 chickens. They keep the weeds down really, really nicely. I'm really happy with it. But we do give them a couple scoops of grain a day. Whether it's scratch feed or layer mash, they can do a great job keeping the weeds down, but it's not enough. Now, there's a difference between layers and roosters. And there's also a difference between layers, roosters, and juveniles. Juveniles are growing very, very quickly, and they need a lot of feed in order to get big. They can probably survive without grain, but if you're waiting to butcher them, they're always going to be scrawny, and they're never really going to be something that is plump and fast growing. So here's our roosters, and we've been giving them food storage grain. We soak it, we give it to them, but we give them a lot of it. The reason is they're just in about a 50 by 50 square foot enclosure. Maybe 70 by 50 enclosure. And they've really started to take the weeds down. What, honey?
Do you want me to make a dirt baby or do you want to take off?
I will make it and I'll be right in, okay? Do you want to go get the grain out of the back of the car and put it in the garage? So what I'm saying is, I don't have any hens in here. I only have roosters, and I don't want them to start losing weight, so we're giving them a bigger pasture today. We already have it closed off so that they would have about 1.25 acres, and they could go eat all the grasshoppers, and we give them grain because we're going to be butchering them all over the next couple weeks. But they will lose condition very quickly if they don't have some kind of grain or if they can't just free range a huge space. So every year you kind of play with it. You never really know how much space is going to be enough. You never really know how much grain there is going to be enough because you have different breeds, especially if you're getting them free off Craigslist, that kind of thing. We want them to keep condition. We want them to stay healthy. And if you have layers, you really can't do just free range unless, again, it's an enormous space. It would have to be enormous. And the same thing goes for milk goats. If you have a mature doe that isn't milking, she doesn't need nearly as much food as a goat that is milking or that is pregnant. The needs of your animals change according to what their output is. And so the free range system does work, but you can't do it grain free unless you're not expecting a huge amount of production, or if you don't really care. If you just want them to survive and you don't really want to be able to butcher them, or you want to be able to butcher them in, say, 8 months instead of 6 months, most heritage or conventional breed of roosters, they mature and they're ready to butcher at 6 months. Not the same as the Cornish cross, but the Cornish cross that's ready to butcher in a few weeks takes massive amounts of feed to get there that quickly. And so we have to be really careful about the myth that you can, with certain chickens, they can go 100% grain free, just eating bugs in your backyard. or that you can raise a really fast roaster, or that you could raise a really fast roaster without huge amounts of grain, even if it is a Cornish cross, because Cornish crosses, they don't grow fast if they don't have massive amounts of feed.
And
So,
guess what?
what?
When the ducks grew an egg this big.
Did you bring it in the house?
Yeah, and
Was it in the front or the back?
Back.
Okay, then the last thing I want to say that I really feel strong, I'll show you my other ducks. Maybe that will be fun. The other thing I want to say is if you are emotionally attached to your animals and you're emotionally attached to all of your animals, I hope you have lots of money, because once they start to get old and they're not laying, or if you have a whole bunch of males that are really, really pretty and you really want to hold on to them, it's as expensive. Each animal is almost expensive as a dog, one dog to feed. And if you consider the cost of feed is generally somewhere between $12 and $18 for 50 pounds, we go through that about once every 2 weeks. We've got a lot of birds. We've got them free ranging and super happy. But even with just a few chickens, if you're doing lay mash, you need them to be very productive chickens. You don't want them to be, I kind of lay once a week chickens. At least if you're trying to do it on a scale that will actually feed your family. If you don't care and you're keeping them for pets, it's not a big deal, it's great. But if you want to keep enough poultry to actually feed your family, you have got to move things out once they stop producing. So we have the chickens here, and then we also have the ducks. And we like that balance. They keep the ground much cleaner when there's both of them. The chickens come out and they scratch bugs up, whereas the ducks go along and they stick their beaks in and they eat roots. And it just is a really good combination for us. So there they are, and these little hens are going to need some more feed here. They ate that really quick this morning. It's why I like to do scratch grain or some kind of food storage and lay mash. It would be nice if I could separate my chickens out from my ducks, because the ducks are gluttonous and they're not laying. There's like one duck here that's laying. And here we have the complication that these white ducks over here are very friendly, and we told the lady who gave them to us that we wouldn't butcher them. And we love them to pieces and they're super friendly, but they're Pekings. They're not going to lay a lot. So, but they eat a ton. So there is the juxtaposition. So we do have books on Etsy about poultry, rabbits, goats, and pigs, if you're interested in that. And thanks for popping in, and we'll talk to you later.